Greetings, people from the wider world, broadcasting live from the Academy at the largest library in the known realms. This is Storytime Q&A, a Realm Jumper talkback show. I am Juno, and I will be your host for now, the time being. Maybe forever, who knows? And joining me today is the lovely, illustrious Bubblytarts.
Hello there.
Hi.
New host, neat.
I'm the new host, I guess. I don't know what happened. But it's me. I'm the host now, and I'm also art director. But your questions are not here for me. We're here to talk to Bubbly. We all know this. How you doing, Bubbly?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm so excited that we're gonna sit down and do this. I do admit though, it's a little awkward being the only guest.
You know, you're right. It's a little lonely. It doesn't feel quite as cozy, I guess, somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe do you know of anyone who we could add to the call who just for fun?
Let me try something.
Welcome to the call, friend of the show, Austin Beringer.
Hi, I'm completely outside of perspective.
Of course.
Why, yes.
This is so strange. We've never had someone who's, not in the
Completely,
show.
yeah.
Completely unrelated.
Oh yeah.
You've never heard this voice before, everyone.
Hello.
Never. I guess now that the, people required are all here now. Shall we get into the questions?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
Yeah, sounds good.
Excellent. The first question from Queen Creeps. Why are you all evil?
That's literally my job.
That is true. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
We have been so evil. Little schemers.
From an outside perspective, it is truly despicable what you guys do, and I love it.
And
Why, thank you.
It's awful and horrendous, and it can't possibly get any worse.
It will never get worse.
No, never.
We're only halfway through the season. Obviously, nothing's going to get worse.
In Realm Jumper? Never.
I can only see things going down from here. I don't know, going up, going down.
Yes.
Both.
Who knows? This is a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm just along for the ride.
Excellent. Shall we move on to the next question?
Yeah, get into the juicy lore.
Let's go with this one. From Midnight Blue. So what's the theme, Bubblytarts? What's the point of Realm Jumper?
And this is the point where I take my good friend Midnight Blue and I say, I know that you put this question in the questions chat specifically because you knew I wanted to talk about the theme of the show. She did, in fact, send this question and then immediately messaged me and said, I love you, bestie.
Perfect. Well, the floor is yours. What's the theme?
So I can finally talk about the themes of Realm Jumper. There's a couple themes that are still kind of but the main one that I get to pop off about is the fact that this entire show is about trauma and learning to move on from it. Because every single character in the previous episodes, and also in episode 8 specifically, I hit every single character. They are all responding to the Charlie and Jen situation based off of their own unresolved trauma. Every single character acts in a very specific way, and that doesn't mean that it's a good way, but it's the way that makes sense for their character.
I mean, it wouldn't be a really good animated series without a boatload of trauma.
So
so
true! This is what we love to see.
No one is doing well.
No one is doing well. I've like talked about I think I've talked about it before where Realm Jumper as a show started out where the pitch was always, "Oh, all these people are at the academy. They've already done their stories. This is their epilogue. This is their what do they do after the end screen pops up?" And the answer is they got shoved here so they didn't get to properly deal with any of the trauma that they experienced in their original stories. So now, shoved in a tiny room together, they all have to cope with a new problem that none of them know how to deal with, and all of them there's a quote that I've talked about, and I won't quote it here because it's really long, but essentially it's a quote that says, "Everyone is fighting need against need against need, not good and evil." And that's
Mhm.
what I really wanted to get at with this episode especially, is that even with characters like Charlie and Jen, who are explicitly the ones who start this snowball effect, it could have been resolved so easily, but because of who the characters are and what their problems are, and the fact that they refuse to admit that they have problems, it created a perfect storm, horrible snowball effect that it was always going to end in a tragedy, but if it was literally any other group of characters, they would have been able to stop the tragedy. And that's the theme, is that you should learn how to deal with your own trauma, because
Yes.
otherwise, eventually, it is going to continue to hurt you and it may hurt the people around you. And so you need to be self-aware and you need to be able to deal with that in a safe space, because otherwise, when things get tough, will you know how to deal with it? The answer for all these
Right.
characters is no, they deal with it poorly.
Uh, I legit never like I didn't register this, and oh my fucking god, Bubbly! Ah! Oh my god, it's so good.
There
I'm
there's
peaking so
no
hard right now.
there's no villains in season 1.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, even characters like Oliver are reacting, and you never like, there's foreshadowing the whole first half of the season as to what went on with Oliver before the academy, but even then, when Oliver then confronts Charlie, you then understand why he goes for immediate worst case scenario and why he chooses violence in that situation. And it's so sad.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
It's so good. And the fact that everything could have been solved if they just talked to each other.
Mhm. Yep.
Just please communicate.
And
It solves
and
all of your problems.
Yep. And specifically, this has been pointed out in some private or in some private areas and also in the public Discord server. At one point, this was pointed out that the characters who believed that Charlie wasn't a bad person were the people who saw that it was an accident that he killed Oliver. Everyone who already blamed Charlie for bad things was not there and ran up and saw the aftermath.
Mhm,
It was
and so they just
only
assumed the worst.
Yes, the people who knew that it was going to be an accident were the ones who saw that it was an accident, and they didn't get to talk. If you notice, characters like Chase and Tina, our protagonists, actually don't talk a lot this episode.
They don't. They have, like, maybe 10 lines?
Mhm. They don't really talk a lot because everyone else who has, I don't wanna say more trauma, but who is more aggressively feeling their own traumas and feelings that they don't wanna deal with, they're the ones talking over them. Tina gets cut off at least, like, 3 different times this episode.
Listen to
It's so
your
sad.
empaths, please.
Please, she's right, let her cook.
Let her cook!
Let Tina cook!
But alas, they did not.
No, they did not. And now they are all starving.
Cries, cries, cries.
Anything else you want to touch on regarding sort of themes and general concept of the show? Because this is the episode that made Realm Jumper happen.
this is the episode that made Realm Jumper happen. When I initially pitched the show to Juno and, the other writer, a bunch of the other writers and a bunch of the other voice actors and artists, when I pitched the show, this in fact was the episode that made people go, "No, this needs to be made into a show." Because like it's neat to think about, oh, all these different people from different worlds and they all have to live together and it's a little slice of life, ha 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 ha. And then I dropped that it was no one's real fault. It was this perfect storm that created this horrible moment where Charlie kills Oliver. And everyone went, "Oh, oh."
Oh, it's good. Oh, this needs to exist. And now you all understand the fact that the very first fan art that I ever made for Realm Jumper, or that exists at all for Realm Jumper, is Oliver, because
Mhm.
this is important.
Yes. This was even before I had properly designed the characters. I had pickroos and I had like years old artwork of like the old versions of the characters, but of the modern day versions of the characters, the first actual art was not by me, it was by Juno, and it was a little sketch
It
of
was
Oliver and Ryder.
it was a silly little doodle, and it was like one of those big late night info dump calls, and I demanded references so that I could draw the silly little guys. And now the
Yes,
show exists.
and now the show exists.
It's crazy.
And it's a good
Okay.
show.
It is
This
a
is
good show.
I go, "Wait, wait, wait." And it's existed for over a year. Fun fact is that the day that we released the cast skit, one solid year later was the exact same day, 1 year later that we released episode 8. The show
That
is
is
over
very
a year
true.
old.
Realm Jumper Day.
It's
Realm
Realm
Jumper
Jumper
Day.
Day!
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out when we were gonna release the mid-season, and we could do it on Realm Jumper Day.
The days line up. We have to.
We had
Perfectly
to.
balanced.
Okay, sorry, I'm reading the questions. Which one is a couple of these next ones go together. But we will start with this one from Queen Creeps as well. Bubbly, I'm curious to know how long you've had the idea of Oliver's death, and whether you initially planned to place it here or later on.
This is the one thing that never changed since conception.
Yeah.
The the original even back when I've explained how Realm Jumper started as a bedtime story for my brother, even as a bedtime story, which mind you, he's not like a child. He is in fact a teenager. So important, I did not kill a character in a children's story.
That's
Um,
good information.
I should make a note that he is in fact an
Context.
older teenager. Um, Even back then, and mind you, the original version I told him Chase was in an entirely different story, but Charlie was in this one because I was, trying something new. Um, Even in that version where the main characters were not Chase and Tina, but were instead Luther and Jennifer.
God, curse lore. Luther
Uh,
and Jen were the original main characters of Realm Jumper.
Yes, they were. Everyone was
Truly
also a lot
insane.
meaner in that version. I didn't realize it until looking back, but they were all weird.
Everyone was so mean to each other.
They were not the happy little found family that you see today, and that makes me sad.
we love our
Um,
sunshine child. We love our sunshine children.
We
so
do, we
true,
do.
so true. But even back then, it was always that Jen helped Charlie and ended up getting her brother killed.
God.
And it was so specific. The details of it had to change because of the characters changing as they, became better characters, but it was always that it was Jen's fault with a question mark because, we just talked about that. It's everyone at fault, but no one to blame. Um, but it was always that Jen and Charlie were working together, and Charlie ended up killing Oliver and getting supercharged with magic. And I believe that was always going to be the end of season. of the mid-season. I think there was, like, a day or 2 where I was like, "What if that's the end of season 1?" And everyone went, "What the
Right.
fuck is wrong with you?" And I
Yeah,
went,
because
"That's fair."
that stretches out the happy fun times a little too long.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it was very quickly determined it had to be the mid-season of season 1, um, but yeah, that scene specifically has always been in my brain, and that was the scene that everyone like, you can even ask the cast and crew when bringing up, "Oh, what's the, like, main scene of Realm Jumper season 1?" They won't say anything in the finale. A couple people might say stuff in the finale because the finale is also oof, but everyone, especially in the early days, was like, "What I'm looking forward to the most? Oliver dying."
Yep, bird death. I
Ah.
want the bird to die.
There were countdowns.
There were countdowns to the bird dying, it's so funny.
I also did in fact turn to you, Austin, while, when we were in the casting process, and I said, "Hey, I'm considering you for Oliver. I do need to talk to you about one thing."
Wait, what
Yeah.
do you mean? Austin's not in the show.
You're so right. Austin was just helping me out with some stuff.
Absolutely.
I will say that again, being behind the scenes for this, like this was a big thing. This is definitely there's a whole lot going on here, and it was a lot of feelings and kind of morbid excitement around this moment
Yeah.
Yeah.
for many reasons. I'll leave it at that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. It was really funny though that, like, genuinely, there's so much that happens in Realm Jumper all the time, and, like,
Right.
I've dropped some big bombshells on the cast and crew, but every single time it always somehow comes back to, "And Oliver dies."
Mhm.
It's narrative carcinization.
Yeah. God, the bird must always die in every incarnation.
It's oh, God.
Ugh, amazing. Um, uh, Similar question, but from Apollo. How does the planning for Realm Jumper work? Do you plan the whole season out beforehand, or do you generally take it episode by episode with the big plot beats set in place?
I'd say it's probably a mix of both because I know like, I came into this and I told people who wanted to join, "Hey, this has 3 seasons. This is the overarching story for each individual season, and here's how they bleed into each other." And season 1 was the most, like, clear. 2 and 3 we've talked about, and we know the big beats, but we've been slowly cranking away at that. That's a later problem, as we say.
Mm,
Um, but, like, usually the writers and I will sit down, like, before the show started, right before we started the show, I was writing the pilot episode, and I had basically the entire script, at least plot beated out, and so I sat down with all the writers in Juno, and we all figured out the first, like, 5 episodes of the show, and roughly what would happen in the rest of it. And then when we got that part figured out, then we waited a couple months. We let some production get done on the first couple episodes, and then we came back and we did it again for the next couple. So at this point, we do have the entirety of season 1 perfectly blocked out what's going to happen in each episode, and we have the ideas of what the first couple episodes of season 2 are going to be like. But in general, it's usually I turn to the writer that has reserved the episode slot, and I go, "Hey, here's the main plot beats that for overarching purposes you need to hit on." And they go, "Cool." And then I say, "If you wanna add some silly moments or if you wanna lengthen this conversation to give some character stuff, then pop off." And then they will bring a script to me and say, "Hee hee, I did a funny thing." And then the script is usually, approved pretty quickly,
mhm.
um, and then we will start on getting, art and voice acting done for it, and then we will add in music, and we'll do the editing for it.
Yeah, and from art perspective,
Mhm.
just because I'm the host, but I feel like I should answer things as art director as well.
Please
Um,
do.
yeah, similarly, the sort of big visual moments like that we know are gonna happen,
Mhm, mhm.
we have ideas for, and then it just comes down to whatever the writer for a specific episode has for individual scenes. Um, and then the writer of that episode and I will go through and figure out when to cut it up into little illustrations. Uh, so the art is basically done episode by episode.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, this is kind of a. I know I'm not the person that is hosting this show and never have been, but um, this is again outside perspective side question. w- Are there specific images and like that have been like not necessarily like, oh yeah, I've had this image in my back pocket for like 6 months or so, but like, or like, okay, we want it to look a lot like we have are there specific images that had more concrete like identities very early on in the show? I'd imagine Bird Death was one of them, but
Um,
any other ones?
yes, I reserved like in while we were doing writing for the mid-season finale, um, I raised my hand and I was like, "Hi, I would like to do the entire last 5 minutes, please. Give them to me."
Yes. You had such a vivid
I
image.
had I had such a
Yeah.
vivid image, and oh, I think it did get cut, unfortunately, but there was going to be an Academy explosion before I realized that that was not the context of the written episode, but it was in my brain. Um,
Yes, I remember that,
yeah,
the debate on if the Academy exploded or not.
yeah, because I thought it exploded, but I guess it didn't,
Man,
which is totally fine.
Dark
Uh,
Star times 10, I see.
like not a huge fire explosion, but like magic explosion as everyone disappears and goes off in their different light beams to their worlds. That image was so clear in my head. Um,
Mhm.
and then I believe that I had a rider image as well. That I think we're saving for later, but the energy of it kind of got put into that one Luther piece,
Ooh,
the de-escalation.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Luther de-escalation, my beloved.
it's so
uh,
good.
He's
He's
also mentally healthy.
he's so effective at de-escalation.
yes.
For me, I'm literally looking through the art chat going, were there any that I specifically remember me or another writer was, like, so gung ho about this image?
Mhm.
Actually, the image that Ray Anathema did for episode 1 of Luther
Yes.
holding out his hand to Chase, that has been in my brain the moment that I started writing the pilot. I was so descriptive with how that had to look.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
such it's such an early piece,
Is that
but
the
it's so important.
no, not the thumbnail image, the other one. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
other one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
very good.
I knew
Um,
that I knew that it had to be an image of Chase reaching out to take Luther's hand. It's so important to me, and luckily Ray and I are very good friends, and so I was like, "Points left, points right. Hey, I gave you this image. What are you thinking?" And they sent the sketch, and I was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's it.
mhm.
Good." Um, oh, I know from episode 6, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yes, that as well. Midnight was very specific about how Jen was to be portrayed in that episode, as is her right.
As is
Um,
her right.
but it was really good, the,
Yeah.
sort of notes that we got as artists. And I will not say what it is, but I also stole some scenes for episode 9, that was like, "They're mine."
Yes. You did steal some 9 stuff, and it was excellent.
I did, 'cause I needed it to happen in the particular way that I wanted it to.
Yes,
Um,
and it was glorious.
I'm trying to think if there's any other art stuff. Um, Evil Charlie, we always knew that we wanted this
Uh,
particular vibe for.
Yes, and we gave it to Anne because we went, "Hey, Anne, do you wanna go absolutely insane with some lighting?"
Mhm, and they did, and it's wonderful.
Yes.
Ugh, all the artists on the show are amazing. I'm not biased.
We also were very B wrote the D&D episode, and he was so excited for the fight against the mage where Tina
Yes.
beats it with scissors, and specifically, we he didn't ha I say this one as an honorary mention because he didn't have a specific idea on exactly what it looked like composition-wise, but he
Mhm,
had so many little details in his description, and he's like, "You don't understand the comedic potential," and then Minnie went insane.
and knocked it out of the park. It's
It was so good.
fantastic.
Oh yeah. Oh god, the D&D episode as well.
I
So
love
much
the
good
D&D
art.
episode.
God, we have so many talented artists. I'm literally just scrolling through.
Go support
Every
all the artists
every
because everyone
artist
is
earned their
good and
laurels.
talented.
Support them.
Also,
Um,
yes, the episode 8 in particular, though, a lot of the shots that I wanted, I didn't know composition-wise what they had to look like for most of them. I was like, "Hey, artists, you should do whatever you want." But bird death and actually, funny enough, Anne's piece of Cassie and Claire with the sunset,
yeah.
that one is exactly how I pictured it in my brain. Anne sent a couple ideas for, like, composition, and I was like, "This one. This is the one. This is the
Mhm.
one." And now I'm looking at the art for 9. God, I love the art for 9.
Mm.
Y'all are in for a treat. It's gonna be fun.
I love
I
I
God,
love
I can't wait until I get to talk about the art direction for the next couple episodes because we went insane.
we went
Um,
a little bit insane. It was great.
it's wonderful. We'll discuss that later. That's for the next episode of this podcast that you'll have to wait for. Um, these next two questions and also sort of our last official question are kind of related, so I'm going to do both of them at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, from a combo of Sleepy as well as Shay, considering it's the mid-season, it feels like a good time to reflect. What's been your favorite part of working on the production, and also what's been your favorite individual scene?
Oh god, don't do this to me. I saw these questions sitting there and I went, "Man, there's so many good options. I'm gonna have to think of just a couple," and then I didn't.
Yeah, me too.
From a behind the scenes perspective on, like, what I've enjoyed working on the show, I love seeing the art pieces come to life.
Mhm.
Because it's one thing to say like, "Oh, yes, and then they do this thing," and then the artist will come up with a sketch and be like, "What do you think of this?" And I'll be like, "What if I got down on the ground and cried hysterically because I love it?"
I
And same with, like, I review every single bit, like, let's try that again. Every single line that a voice actor sends, I review it. Sometimes the other writer of the episode will also review it if they have a particular thought on how they want a delivery, but I go through and I individually listen to every single take. Yes, that takes a long time, but I love it because I get to sit through the episode and I end up acting out the character along with the voice, and
so good.
it's really fun, and especially getting to see how that all starts to come together and, like, tone does change across from, like, script to, direct script that will have notes to how the voice actor interprets it and how the artist interprets it, and then you put it all together, and sometimes things do shift a little bit, and that's fine, though, because then I look at it and go, "Man, this is so cool, I couldn't have done that by myself."
Right? I think I don't know. I really love I love everything that Realm Jumper is and all of the behind the scenes. I stalk all of the whip channels. It's crazy. Um
As you should.
yeah. But I really love this opportunity to, be able to do like the actual like art directing stuff and like coming up with concept art and like for episodes coming up like every I'm trying to talk around it, but just there's certain themes that all the artists have to follow.
Mhm.
Um, and so we sort of get to go through that thought process of like putting together mood boards and then turning that into character designs and descriptions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, the character designs are so fun. I am obsessed with the fact that Charlie's Dante Shadowblade is it's just his evil design, but more.
Yeah.
Mm.
God, we
It's
finally got to reveal that, I
we
love it.
finally could, but it's like the little art detaily stuff like that that is just my entire bread and butter, and I am obsessed.
So edgy. I
He's
love
so edgy.
it.
Now the hardest question, what's your favorite scene?
Pick from your children.
God, I gotta pick a favorite child.
You can pick multiple.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pick multiple.
But maybe try
I
limiting it to, like, 3?
Yeah, top 3. Top 3 is
we'll
fair.
we'll try to go for
Keep
a
it
top
short.
3, and then inevitably I'll find an honorable mention.
Mhm.
Yes.
I am biased. Let me disclaim that I am in fact very biased, and I know this. I love the scene in episode 7 where Gil goes to talk to Bridget.
I was also gonna say that one as one of my tops.
It's a
It's so
good
good.
scene.
The
They
art
hate
and
each other so much.
the f there's a GIF that I saw floating around just of the alternating between the 2 arts.
He go,
Yeah.
"Ah." He
You
go,
go,
"Ah."
"Ah."
I love that, and I loved being Bridget in that scene because
Mhm.
Gil and Bridget have such an important dynamic to the show, and we finally got to sit down and do that, and Spy and I will, in the server, in the cast server, just, like, I will send my lines, and he will respond in character as Gil in the
So
VA
good.
discussion chat. He'll be like, "You," and I'll be like, "Me!"
It's fascinating to watch.
I love them. They have such a dynamic.
Mhm. I gosh, I'm trying to think. I think it's just 'cause uh he's been on the brain rot a little bit. But I love any Nemo scene. Nemo is
So true.
probably my favorite, I think, if I had to, like, at gunpoint pick. I love Nemo. Um,
The gender
any
50.
scene any scene that they're a part of, I am obsessed with because 'cause they're also just they're so fun to draw. They have such, like, a dynamic way of just, like, interacting with everyone else. He's so
Mhm.
stupid, I love it.
Yeah,
Also, all of the Tina being smart scenes because she also deserves the
he
world.
has the brain cell.
Mhm.
The only character in the show with a positive intelligence stat.
God, so
So true.
true.
Is it wisdom? Intelligence or wisdom? Hmm. Positive wisdom,
Both.
actually.
Yeah.
Wisdom, yeah, so true.
Wisdom.
Gil and Jen are smart, that doesn't mean they're intelligent. Wait, no, it's the other way
Correct.
around. They're
Their
idiots.
intelligence
They're
doesn't
not
mean they're smart.
stupid, but they're idiots.
Mhm.
Another scene I just realized I will again, it's a little me tooting my own horn because I wrote this episode, but the Charlie and Oliver interactions in episode 4,
Yeah, that's also good.
just
Especially
the
now knowing what we know.
yeah. It
Uh,
fun fact, in this when I was about to write 4, I didn't know who was gonna end up hanging out with Charlie, and then I realized, "Oh, it's Oliver, isn't it?"
Yeah.
yeah, just twist that knife just a little bit more.
Mhm, mhm.
Just a little bit. This will hurt in the future. But I love the, like, we can't stay in the bushes here, let's go into the alley. That's where criminals are, but it works. Let's go." It's so stupid, and then Claire calling them out. Side note, I love Claire. I love
They're so
Ellie
important.
for doing Claire. Kissy kissy for you. I love Claire so very much, you play her wonderfully.
She's so important. She might be the only other character with a brain cell.
Actually,
Mhm.
you know what? Such a true statement. Claire has a brain cell.
Yes.
God, yeah. I just love that the fact that it was just me doing dramatic irony for something that hasn't happened yet.
Mhm. As your outsider perspective, Austin, what's your favorite scene? Truly
Uh,
unbiased.
Really unbiased, there's something about that Oliver monologue. Like,
Mhm.
genuinely, there's something about that is just, like, there's so much hate, or there's not hate, there's so much just, like, latent, like, sadness and just, like, depression and, like, desperation, and it's just like, "Oh my god, eat that shit up, I'm a theater kid at heart." But, like, it is
Good.
just, like it is, like yeah, again, speaking, completely unbiased here, but, Yeah. No, outside of that, there's so oh my god, everything about the show is amazing. Mm,
It's too
for
difficult.
it is too difficult. I mean, like, I think the and on a funnier note, the I've come to make an announcement thing.
Oh, of course.
The voice acting combined with the incredible art is just like there's so
It's
much
So
it's
there.
a
true.
classic.
There's ah the introduction of the genderfish. I love it.
Mhm. Had to make it as gender as possible.
Yeah,
Um,
I could go forever about various scenes. I could toot the horn of everyone in the server because they're all so talented. Cries.
Valid, so true.
Ugh.
And we get to pop off in the future.
We do get to pop off in the future. Um, any little exciting teasers or things you want to talk about for things to come, Bubbly?
Oh, me sitting here like I could say so many things that would
Yeah,
make no sense.
there's things you want to talk about that you can't, but
There's things I wanna talk about that I legally cannot. My own little NDA that I signed in my brain.
Mhm.
We are I'll tease 9. 9, I love 9. B wrote 9, and it does deal with everything of 8 because we actually don't get to deal with anything in 8, we just kind of leave you there.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry about
Ah.
that.
I'm
You guys aren't sorry.
you're fine.
No, we're not.
So, the characters do get to kind of think about that, but we're at the point where we've done the happy, silly slice of life stuff, and now we get to starting with 9, we really get to start like I said, everyone has their unresolved trauma. This is the part where we get to maybe not resolve it, but we get to address it.
Mhm.
We get
Let's
to
address
sit down with the characters and see what exactly why they reacted the way that they did to Charlie.
you get to address the bulging closet that everything has just been stuffed into over time.
Correct. Some of the characters are okay with this. Some of the others would like the closet to stay closed.
Mm.
Mhm. And you will get to find out soon as I was gonna say season 2, but the second half of season 1 of Realm Jumper is currently in production. We
Yes.
do not have release dates for anything yet, but as always, be sure to stay tuned to the channel and also our Discord server for updates. Um,
You guys have a Discord
as
server?
we do have a Discord server.
Would you
Go
like
join
to
the
join
public
it?
Discord server. Yeah, you should join the public Discord server.
Maybe.
Um,
Who knows?
uh, gosh, anything else we want to plug? I forget how the endings of these go, but also that's kind of the point is that they're bad.
We are sitting
Usually
here
we have a
suffering.
usually there's a release date, but this is an odd
Usually there's a
example.
release date, but there's not this time.
The release date is we don't have a release date, but it's sooner than you think. Hello, Ending Bubbly here. That was a fucking lie. The hiatus is over though. You should come join us on April 20th. That's a Saturday at 3 p.m. EST when episode 9, The Long Road Home, actually will come out.
Yes, sooner than you think. Stick around the channel to find more and enjoy the sort of hiatus content that we have for you.
Yes. We
But
just released a blooper reel. You should go watch that. There will be
we
more blooper
did.
reels.
I don't know how badly that dates this episode, but you should still go watch it anyway. Um,
Blooper reels,
uh,
music, everything in
yeah,
between.
all
Lots
that
of
fun
music.
stuff. Lots of music.
So much music. Oh, the music. We didn't even. Oh man.
We didn't even talk about the music. The music's
Oh
good too.
god,
Go
so good.
listen.
Amazing.
Go listen to the music. They're so talented. I
Yes.
literally cried over the music for episode 8 and also for 9. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I think that is a good place to end it. I don't know how, but uh, s- see you all next time, I guess.
Bye.